welcome to Storyboard's Diwali special. I'm Pavni Mittal. For most retailers across categories like electronics, apparel and jewelry, festive season accounts for around 10 to 25% of their annual sales. With consumer sentiment, which had been low for the last few years, improving, this festive season is expected to see better demand than last. But the big news is that this is also expected to be India's first big online Diwali. According to industry chamber ASSOCHAM, online sales are expected to touch the 10,000 crore rupee mark, growing by around 350% over last year. So as the Indian shopper is lured by heavy discounts on e-commerce sites, what are brick and mortar stores doing and how are they handling this challenge? To discuss this and more, I have with me Infinity Retail's Ajit Joshi and Madhumita Datta of Raymond. Madhumita and Ajit, welcome to the show. First, before we get into how this has impacted business, how has the festive season been for the both of you so far?
The last 2 days, if you look at it, or last 3 days, Saturday, Sunday and Monday, absolutely have been pretty good. We are on budget, so that indicates, no company allows you to have the same budgets as last year. So if you are on budget and meeting your budgets, I think it's a very positive sign. Lot has been said about e-commerce versus brick and mortar. We can look at that as a new technology and see how we can adopt it. Rather than
it's not a threat.
Yeah, it's rather than looking at it as a threat. At Chroma, we look at it as a part of our omni-channel strategy, and that is working very well for us. So, and you talked about consumer sentiment. It looks very, very positive, right?
Okay, and you've been seeing Achhe Din as well?
Yes, of course, because festivity is all about people getting into newer clothes and everything. I think that sentiment, as he rightly said, that it's quite up. And we are extremely optimistic that this season is going to be
quite. But what
quite
kind of fillip are you seeing versus last year?
It's right now it's too nascent to comment on numbers, but in terms of the sentiments, in terms of people walking into the store, asking for newer things and looking for the festive season to roll forward, I think it's looking quite positive.
And what about you?
Same, absolutely. People are coming and asking for big ticket items.
Okay, that was the big one last year. I think that's been the problem.
That's right. Last year, Diwali was pretty sad. It didn't fire up the way we expected, but this time people are actually going for the large ticket items.
Okay.
Couple of other reasons also. Finance has been easy, and something happened in the country on 16th of May, a bit of a magic wand, and the sentiment has just turned positive.
Okay.
Last few days, if you look at it, the build up to the Diwali also, the Navratri, the Puja and the Dashera, absolutely has been good.
What kind of a fillip are you seeing then, number-wise?
Number-wise, see, I would give you differently. We have a dependency of max up to 12% on this high season, because Chroma attracts different sets of customers who buy through the year, not necessarily just because it's a festival. But we are seeing customers coming back into the stores. The early days of Navratri and 6th October, we did see some of the stores deserted because there was a big activity which was happening around online. So it did affect 600 crores were pulled out of the market on that day. And those 600 crores, even if it was 500 crores last year, they were in the market, which were in the brick and mortar, and they were not pulled out by one particular part of the retail, which is e-commerce.
Which is the nascent one, the new one.
That's right. So that impact will be there. And don't forget, we are still a developing economy. On one day, one particular activity pulls out 600 crores. It's a large sum of money which has gone out of retail, from brick and mortar retail. But compared to that, and next 10 days of trading, if you look at it, we have recovered very well.
Okay, and what about you? Are you seeing the same kind of sentiment? Is that something that you've experienced as well across apparel retail?
See, in terms of, yes, if we say e-commerce, it is a new thing that consumers are experiencing. It is not. It's also the kind of discounts and everything people are getting. But at the end of the day, in apparel also, the touch feel and people walking into the store, the overall experience, and especially during Diwali and all the festivals leading to Indian festivals, if I take it holistically, it has a different sentiment altogether. Like people go to stores with families, with friends and buying it together vis-a-vis which is a transactional on the online space. I think that's a more different thing, but it's both can coexist. It's not that this versus that. I mean, we don't see that, but Indian sentiments, yes, there is a convenience factor as well when you buy online, but during the festivals, I think it's more of the coming together with family, friends and buying, and that's the reason we are seeing also people coming to the store and the experience that are happening in terms of buying and the different offers. Every store, if you see, or every retail outlet during festival, it's nicely decked up. The overall festivity, the happiness and everything so that's how I think Indian retailers, in terms of how they are perceived during festival, is very different from the Western world.
You spoke about touch, feel, and what we've also seen is, especially in categories like electronics, I may go to a store and I may check out the product, but I may actually go and buy it on an e-commerce site where it's cheaper. It's ultimately a discounting game. It's a price war essentially. So, how are retailers handling that?
See, a couple of things which
But are you seeing this trend?
Yeah, sure. A couple of retailing rules I would like to state here is, discount is something which poor man needs it and rich man likes it.
Yeah.
Okay, so discount is something everybody wants to have that. Okay, so we the retailers are working on that. You talked about touch, feel and try, which happens at the brick and mortar stores, and people can go online. Luckily for electronics, people like Sony, Samsung, LG, the majorly popular brands as such, have given some kind of guideline to the industry where one particular brand has gone on record to say we will not be honoring the after sales warranties if you buy their products from online, because they don't believe in that. And nothing wrong in it, because 90-95% of their business still comes from mom and pop stores and across the country. So their dependency on mom and pop stores is very high. So based on that, they have issued the advisory. So when it comes to branded products and high-end, and even buying a 32-inch TV today in India is seen as an investment.
Yeah.
People don't think twice to buy iPhone 6, which is close to 60,000 rupees. But when it comes to the buying of a washing machine, TV, it's the entire family which is involved, and that's where brick and mortar stores are scoring pretty well.
Okay.
The big brands are available only in the brick and mortar stores.
Okay.
They're talking. Some of the traders are putting these things on online platforms, but whether they will get honored, whether the warranties will be taken care of, is a question mark. So we are waiting for the advisory on some of these things. We also report if stray incidents happen, that some good brand gets listed, brands are also taking corrective action. So customers are back in the brick and mortar stores, because that's where another good thing which happened on 6th October is that a lot of consumers also ended up getting
6th October is the big billion day sale for Flipkart, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So a lot has been said. I call it as a paper war, because lots of newspapers are writing about it. We don't fight with each other at all. Yeah. And fantastic thing that retail industry is back on the front page of newspapers and TV channels. So which is actually
it's a hot
creating
sector now,
yes,
after many years.
After many years, a gap of almost 2.5 years, and you are reminding the customers to come back to the stores, which is absolutely brilliant.
See, as an industry, in terms of coming from the apparel business in a retail format, see, it's also, and I would specifically talk about the festive season. Now, this is the time leading into also wedding season and everything. So here, what happens is mostly are the the high end or the higher price point apparel, or the wardrobe is what's been talked about or bought. And that's where in India still, when you get into buying those kind of price points and all, it ends up becoming a little not a individualistic purchase, but also it becomes a purchase where you take pure appreciation or pure opinion. For example, we are not looking at it that this versus that. Both have to coexist, because the benefits are there both, because over the years the consumers have evolved. Like today, 5 years back, we can't even think of people buying jewelry over e-commerce, because you want to wear it, you want to see it. But today it has changed. So you need to be, as a brand or as marketeers, I think we need to constantly evolve and not say that this won't happen. Unless until you try, I don't think that can happen. And I think that is where you'll see many brands coming into that parallelly having brick and mortar store. They are also developing their e-commerce. So they want to cater to all kinds of consumers, all kinds of mindsets, so that end of the day the business cohesively benefits.
What about Chrome? Because you have your e-commerce site as well, but you also have a tie-up with Snapdeal.
That's right. Yeah, the reason we tied up with Kunal and Snapdeal is that they have a fantastic reach into tier 2 and tier 3 towns. Now, where is Chroma present? We are present in top 16 cities. So this is, I think, alliance of like-minded people in order to reach out to the end customer. When we list our products on Snapdeal, we also have very good relations with eBay and Amazon. But we do not believe in discounting the products. We have the same price on our website, which is chromaretail.com, let it be Snapdeal or Amazon, and that in the stores. Somewhere down the line, customers have appreciated this.
Okay.
That when you come to Chroma, there is a standard price which is offered, and if you use one way to buy, whether it's e-commerce way or through our partners, there is no substantial discount which is given. If it's a discount in the store, it is a discount on the online area also. So that honesty has played a lot, and secondly, this discounting game has to come to an end. It's very easy. I have been saying this, that ₹100 can be sold for 50 rupees very easily.
Yeah.
Somebody is funding it, and there's a limit, because those stakeholders are going to start asking for the returns.
Yeah.
And moment they start asking for the returns, all this discounting game will get
But I think the discounting game for e-commerce is also a war. I mean, it's sort of a price war within themselves to see the last man standing within the e-commerce sector.
Very
it's
true.
It's not really targeted at taking over the brick and mortar.
When you talk about this discounting game, South Korea is the highest, has the highest penetration of e-commerce. Total retail business versus what you get on e-commerce is only 14%.
Okay.
US is under 10%. India is under 1%. China has moved to 8% very, very fast. So India can move to 8% very fast. But that's it. Balance of the 92% of the business still happens from brick and mortar.
But what about your internal businesses? How has your experience been with Chroma.com versus Chroma, Juhu, Prabha Devi, Bandra?
It actually depends. We are also tracking the behavior of some of our loyal customers, and we realize that some of our customers in the cities, depending on the time, see, our customers are very rich when it comes to the money, but when it comes to the time, they are very poor. So if they want to buy a standard product, a ream of paper for their printers, or a printer or a cartridge, they are happy to go onto online and buy it, because it's a mundane product. You get it, there's no variation in that. But when you are emotionally involved, a lady wants to come into the store, put her hand inside the washing machine, check whether it's a stainless steel tumbler, then people do visit brick and mortar store.
So for brands like yours, which are not present in every market, I mean, what is expected from your .com? What kind of markets do you expect it to reach to? And
because
omni-channel approach.
If you see that e-commerce, I think one of the biggest things that we have seen, that in terms of the tier 2, tier 3 towns, the consumers, the maximum number of consumers are actually getting into the e-commerce route because of the non-availability of the physical stores there. I think that is something that every brick and mortar store or every brand should take it as an advantage in terms of when they are opening their e-commerce, that how they reach out to the consumers, because a physical store, not always possible that you will get into multifaceted cities and all that, wherein this can come as a big route of reaching out to the consumer and reaching out to a larger set of consumers. I think that's the most, as we said, that both can coexist and coexist quite amicably, and I think that's the way that as a marketeer, I think we should look at that, how do we balance it out and how do we end of the day satisfy our consumers in terms of reaching out to them.
So is that the silver lining in this big billion day sale, that the channel has opened up for traditional brick and mortar stores and making your business more profitable?
Absolutely. I mean, we see that as a great opportunity for us to reach out to our end consumer. Chromaretail.com today services 500 cities and towns.
And what percentage of your business comes from there?
It's very early days, but the good news is, we were targeting for X crores of turnover. On first
what is the X?
Okay, I'll share that. Okay, we were looking at about 120 crores of turnover from this year from our e-commerce. We don't spend much in terms of advertising, but on 1st October itself, we crossed that.
Okay.
The yearly target.
So congratulations.
Thank you. But this is where the potential of this channel is. It's massive. So it allows you to. But why we have put the restrictions on it? Because we have certain guidelines. If we can't service the customer in those cities and towns, then we don't want to put something on the portal and say a place like Agartala, if a customer buys from Croma because it's a Tata enterprise, there's a lot of trust and faith. And if I'm unable to service the customer, then why sell a product is the question we ask.
Today in the morning we had this,
9.
you know, the paper was extremely heavy, and not because it was a heavy news day, because then we would know, but because there were ads after ads, and
we
so,
also had a
yes. So has this forced you to increase your marketing budgets? Firstly,
no, the marketing budgets for us got rationalized.
Okay.
And we are looking at the publications or the media which will give us the reach to our end consumer.
If I just ask you, when you say open today's paper, and today is of course Dhanteras, so it's a big day for retailers as well. What was your first reaction? If I could ask, what is the key takeaway from that?
Oh, I love the ad because it was one
That's
of my.
because it's yours, and you have a bookmark there. So, but generally, you know, the kind of competition was
Sony has put that 4-page beautiful ad, and it's they have almost 37% share in our television sales. So I was extremely happy to see that ad because I have that profile of customers who come to Croma store.
And that Sony may not be available on, say, a Flipkart or an Amazon. As long as that's the case, then you're happy.
Well, that's for Sony and Flipkart's and you know, others to decide. But definitely, I have the stocks. So if I have the stocks and my brand puts that kind of ad, it's a great news, and it's followed by a Croma ad. So it's absolutely great. So I loved it. I did not look at the headlines today at all.
What do you attribute this kind of advertising frenzy to? Is this something that is the need of the hour for retailers? I mean, if you look at, if I open the paper again, there were a lot of multi-brand retail stores in apparel also which have advertised.
I personally feel, it's a completely personal opinion, that it is more or less it's happening as a reactionary kind of a thing, because it's just in terms of, it's a war of the jackets.
Yeah.
You know, I would call it like, because the kind of, and earlier, you know, if I have taken jacket, I know that I'll get the prominent. Today there are 10 jackets. I mean, where do you stand? I mean, what?
There's a jacket, there's an overcoat.
Yeah, there's a jacket, overcoat, scarf. You just have it all, and then those little strip ads which I call the scarves. So I think it's quite crazy in terms of, I mean, just look at it from a consumer point of view. I see the paper, it is so heavy. I'll just flip through it. How much there is register? Only you do those innovations, like for example, what you have done. It's where my eye goes. So I will, like, if I'm interested, I will go in that. So it is a reactionary at this point in time, but I see over a period of time it getting fizzled down. But at this point in time, I think everybody wants to get that share of pie.
I mean, you were right in asking that question, because we had no choice, especially the electronics industry. We had to remind our customers that we are there to cater to you, and thanks to the little bit of fiasco which happened, it has benefited. I'm sure they learned a lot out of it. They are a bunch of absolutely innovative young entrepreneurs, and they will come back great. But it did help the brick and mortar retailers as well, because one thing which is assured to the customer is that they get to touch and feel the real product. They get to see the real stocks in the store, and they get the assurance the same day delivery or the next day delivery. So these are some of the pluses, and we are also looking at how do we go out and tell the customer that, hey, you need to come back. We compete with each other, and there is a product.
Then how do you compete? Because there's of course a discounting game, but there is also a valuation game. I mean, the e-commerce game itself is very different from the game that brick and mortar stores are playing, and you can't afford to lose money on every transaction like they can.
So, well, I'm little lucky there. I have only 3 stakeholders in my company, which is Tata Sons, our employees who work with us, and my customers. So I don't have to please to the gallery. So I don't have to go crazy to advertise. I had to advertise only when it's required. So that way our marketing budgets are limited, and we make the most of it.
What would you say is your biggest challenge this festive season?
We are all looking very positive. I mean, I don't think this challenge, we should all look at every situation as an opportunity. I think at this point in time, as marketeers, there's a huge amount of opportunity that we see going forward. I mean, so just grab the opportunity.
Does that complicate life for you? Does it complicate work for you?
No, it doesn't. I think it's just when challenges are there, you think, you think of innovations. I think that's more exciting, because otherwise, if everything is very hunky-dory, you also don't think. But I think opportunities are there, so one can definitely.
So you're looking at it as an opportunity. What about you?
Well, I still have a challenge. This Diwali, though we are meeting the budgets, we are not getting the right footfall.
Yeah.
Footfall.
Is it down by 50% as what Assocham says, or would you have a different number?
It is down, but it's not down by 50%. But we are getting the right customers who are buying.
Okay.
Okay, so the cash memo size, if you look at it, or the basket size, both have increased. But if we get few more people into the store on a Dhanteras day like today, I think that will be brilliant.
Okay. But profitability wise, you're fine? Or is that better? Or
no, I'm just keeping my fingers crossed right now. Because
Okay.
we work on paper thin margins,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you know, a slight variation in the footfall can make a lot of difference. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. May I take this opportunity to wish your viewers
Yes, thank you.
also a very fantastic
Sure.
and prosperous and safe Diwali.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Joshi. And Vandita,
Happy
thank
Diwali
you so
to
much.
everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much. With that, it's a wrap on the show for this week. Stay connected though. We are on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and there's also the brands page at firstbiz.com. We'll see you next week. Until then, from everyone here, have a very happy and prosperous Diwali. Thanks for watching.